Hey guys, so happy to see you all. எல்லாரையும் ஃபேஸ்புக் லைவ்ல பார்க்கறது ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம். பேண்டமிக்ஸ் பத்தி பேசலாம், கொரோனா பத்தி பேசலாம். பிளஸ் நம்ம எப்படி நம்மள பாத்துக்கணும் அப்படின்றது ரொம்ப முக்கியமான விஷயம். பல தகவல்கள் இருக்கு, நிறைய கன்ஃபியூசிங் தகவல்கள் இருக்கு, ராங் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன், கான்ஃபிடென்ட்டா ராங் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் சொல்றவங்க நிறைய பேர் இருக்காங்க. ஸோ த பாயிண்ட் இஸ் கரெக்டான விஷயம். I've got Dr. Greg Wells. He's one of the top scientists in the world and human performance expert. ஸோ அவரை பத்தி பேசினா உண்மையாவே என்ன நடக்குது உலக நிலவரன்னு ஒரு சில விஷயங்கள் தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு, அவர் கனடால இருக்காரு, கனடால என்ன நடக்குது, பிளஸ் அது மட்டும் இல்லாம கொரோனா பத்தி பேசியும் சலிச்சு போச்சுன்றது என்னோட ஃபீலிங். ஸோ அதுக்கு மேலையும் நம்ம எப்படி நம்ம ஓவராலா மனுஷனா நம்ம இருக்கலாம், கொரோனால இருந்து நம்ம எப்படி வெளியே வர போறோம்ன்றது ஒரு பக்கம், ஓவராலா நம்ம ஒரு மனிதரா எப்படி நம்ம வாழ்க்கையை கொண்டு போனோம் ஒரு அடுத்த லெவல் போறதுக்குன்றத பத்தியும் we're going to talk a lot of things. So let's get going. So Greg, up to you, buddy.
Ashwin, thank you. So good to see you again, and honored to be here to talk to you and your amazing community and just share a lot of ideas about how we can be healthy, how we can keep our mind clear, and how we can all get through this together. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion, and thanks for having me on your channel.
Namaste, Greg.
Namaste, Ashwin. Let's do this.
Let's do this, buddy. So yeah, so pandemics do happen. Pandemics has happened throughout the, ever since human being has arrived on planet Earth, we've been having multiple pandemics, right? So this corona thing, right? What is your take on corona right now? And what exactly is happening in Canada? What exactly is happening in the US? And what exactly the truth? See, people do know what's happening, but you are ground zero level doing a lot of things. So we need to know what exactly is happening there. Let's start with that.
So yeah, just to clarify, so I'm a scientist. I'm a PhD in exercise physiology and respiratory physiology. I'm a researcher at a hospital. So I'm a scientist. You're a medical doctor, so there's a difference in what we do. But I'm coming at it from the research perspective. And you are correct. We have had pandemics throughout history, and so that's infectious disease. We know that we get colds, flus, and these big pandemics that hit the world. We similarly have chronic disease, and that's normally what I try to speak about, is preventing obesity, cardiovascular disease, cancer, but this has sort of brought our attention to infectious diseases and our health right now in the moment. And so what's happening in Canada, there have been a number of infections, tens of thousands of infections, but the death rate has been very low, probably about 150-ish deaths so far. Everyone here is in lockdown. We're sort of sheltering at home. You can go get groceries, you can go get gas for the car, you can do the basics, but in general everyone's been asked to stay at home, and most people are compliant with that. When people go out, we have been wearing masks, so that is now sort of standard practice as well. And so far it seems to be going very well. I wouldn't say that we've flattened the curve, but we're starting to see the cases being even, not climbing. Although it was about a 5% growth this week, but it's still plateauing. We're obviously very close to the United States. I could actually just walk out on my deck, look over the lake, and see New York State. So we're very, very close to America, and things are a little bit different in the US, but it appears that even in the United States, when science is followed, when the advice of the lead infectious disease experts are followed, that we can flatten this curve, but it's very, very difficult. Some parts of the states are responding quite well, others are not. And so I'm very, very hopeful that all of us together can do things the right way, follow the advice of scientists, follow the advice of our medical doctors, and we can get through this together very, very quickly, I hope.
Right. So that sounds promising, Greg, because if you actually see the transition from stage 2 to 3, the countries which handle the lockdown well and which imposed the lockdown pretty early have come out strong. And as you rightly said, the curve has not started flattening yet, but yes, you could see the dip. That's a very hopeful sign. And so far, if you look in our country, back in India, we've got around 12,000 cases. Yes, testing numbers has been low, but they have started, testing more. And if you actually see the ratio between the number of cases and the deaths, it's pretty hope. I mean, it's a very good sign of hope, because the number of deaths are pretty less.
That's true, and we're now getting a very good handle on what are the rates of infection, what's the rates of transmissibility. That's you pass, if you have it, you passing it on to someone else, and the death rates. I think you and I were talking before we got on the show, it appears that the mortality rate is 2 to 4% ish. Obviously, it's higher if you're older. There's new research, new evidence beginning, unpublished data, but still new evidence that's being pushed out that shows that obesity is a risk factor. So if you have greater obesity, then there's a greater risk factor if you get coronavirus of not surviving. And so we're learning a lot right now about the disease and about how it affects people and how health in general is a factor in determining the outcome for people who do have coronavirus. And that's true with colds and flus and cancer and heart disease and other factors as well. So it's sort of a universal human truth. Our overall health is a factor. And so that's something that we can control, which is what I've been focusing on, is what can we do to keep ourselves healthy, because we can't control coronavirus. It's here. There will be another one at some point in the future, maybe not exactly corona. We will have another pandemic. So what can we do? Well, we can be healthy. And that's what I've been trying to share with people as much as possible.
And there's a lot of panic around this coronavirus right now. See, if you actually see the number of cases, it's 21 lakh plus. And if you see the number of deaths, it's close to 1.5 lakhs. If you actually see the ratio, right? Obviously, it falls around, it's not too high. And as we all know that the hypothesis goes in such a way that when there is a, viral outbreak, if the virus tends to spread fast, it is not going to kill a lot of people. The death rate is going to be low. And if the spread of the virus is going to be, slow, yes, the mortality rate has been higher over the last few years. Over the past, few pandemics. So what is your take on the fear around this coronavirus?
Well, fear generally comes from the unknown, and there's so much uncertainty. We don't know when this lockdown is going to end. We don't know if we're going to be affected. We don't know if someone that we love is going to be affected. So anytime that we have the unknown, the uncertainty, we become scared. And that's just basic evolutionary physiology, right? Like if you imagine humans 10,000 years ago, if you heard a crack in the branches in the woods that you're walking through, you want to be the one who looks at the crack to make sure that there's not a tiger there. Whoever doesn't look is the one that's going to get eaten. So we're designed and we've evolved to pay attention to things in our environment that make us scared. And they should, because that triggers your awareness and your body responds with fight or flight. You produce hormones, stress hormones that enable you to concentrate and focus and be stronger. The problem with fear and uncertainty is that if it's constant, that is when it actually makes your immune system worse. That's when chronic disease happens. We know that 75% of the deaths in the Western world are caused by stress-related illnesses. I think the numbers are similar in India. And so we have to be careful that we don't get caught up in the fear. I think it's important to be informed. You want to know what's going on. You want to understand, but you don't want to be constantly consuming the latest updates on the hour. Spend time with your family. I check in the morning and at night, and that's it. I don't look during the day. I do my work. I spend time with my family. I train. I eat healthy. I'm doing all those sorts of things, and I'm working on my business. But I think fear is something that can overwhelm you. So make sure you take breaks and you control your mindset and focus on the things that you can control so that you can get healthy. And you may even be able to come out of this situation better than you were before. That's a possibility that I'd love for people to think about.
Exactly. So the exact point is, don't listen to a lot of people. Don't listen to a lot of things which come up on TV. Don't waste your time spending on WhatsApp forwards, right? And don't get carried away by the numbers which is portrayed by, mainstream media all around the world. Isn't that the point, Greg?
I think it is, Ashwin. So I think you want to be informed. You want to know what the numbers are. For example, we know that the coronavirus is highly transmissible. We know that it's more, it has a higher mortality rate than the flu. So it's more transmissible, higher mortality rate, which is why we are in lockdown, which is why we are using our masks, which is why we're doing social and physical distancing. So we know these things. That's why we are doing it. But we also want to be careful that we're not on social media every 5 minutes going through the latest videos and the latest statistics and the latest articles that everyone's sending to each other, which is fine. I think everyone's trying to help each other, give people the information that they think is important, but I've turned all of that stuff off. it's just overwhelming. If someone sends me an article, I don't even look at it. I look at PubMed, I look at the CDC, I look at WHO. Like, I've got my very specific sources of information that I'm going to, and I've basically shut all of it out because it's noise. I have to rebuild my company for the digital era. I have to help people by doing things like this. I've got to work with my team. I've got to spend time with my family. There's many things for me to do other than to be consuming information on the internet, but I'm still trying to be informed. So that's the balance I want people to try to strive for.
If you actually look at the media houses, they're trying to help people by giving the facts. But the problem is numbers always scare people, right? When you see people tend to think that, for example, 200,000 cases, or a 300,000 cases, they tend to think that all 300,000 cases are going to die. That's not the point, isn't it? So Greg, one quick question when it comes to this. What do you think about the deaths in context with coronavirus, and what age group or what kind of population are the ones who are affected by the mortality rate? Or
Yeah, good question, Ashwin. So what we're seeing, again, speaking as a scientist, not as a medical doctor here, is that it appears that the death rate appears to be higher the older that you are. So for young children, it's very, very, very low. Although it is possible to pass away from the coronavirus at a young age. It's just the risk of mortality is the lowest at a young age. And then as we get older, especially above 70, the numbers, the percentage of people who are infected who do pass away, the mortality rate does go up to the point where it might be as high as 15% for people who are over 80 and over 85. The other risk factor appears to be, as you said earlier, pre-existing health conditions. So if you are already immunocompromised, coronavirus is going to be very difficult to overcome. New data from New York coming out suggesting that obesity is a risk factor. Asthma, interestingly, is not. So people with pre-existing asthma actually is not a risk factor on some early data, but obesity is. So we're learning about lifestyle, age. You can't control your age, but you can control your lifestyle. So that's where people can focus their attention. That's
true. So how do you bulletproof yourself, or how do you empower yourself during a pandemic? Something like, for example, like something like coronavirus.
I think what we can do is think about the 4 pillars of human health. And so I believe the 4 pillars are lifestyle pillars that we can use to be healthy are sleep. I think, Ashwin, if we get good sleep every night, that's what the body needs to be healthy. That's what strengthens the immune system. That's what cleans out the brain. That's what gives you growth hormone that repairs all the tissues inside your body. It also gives you better control of leptin and ghrelin, which control your appetite so you can eat healthier foods. You don't have those cravings for unhealthy food, which is actually the second point. Second point being to eat smarter, eat healthy foods, lots of vegetables. I know we're speaking in India this morning, and the best food in the world is Indian food, as far as I'm concerned, from when I came and visited you. But spices are fantastic. There's antioxidants, there's anti-inflammatory agents, there's polyphenols, flavonoids, and all the vegetables and spices. So there's amazing foods that we can eat that make us healthier. So we want to be paying attention to that. The third piece of the puzzle is exercise, making sure that you're still physically active. I did a conference call with someone in New Delhi a couple days ago, and he was literally walking in his backyard as we were having the call. Like, not a big space, but he was walking, he was moving, he was trying to stay physically active, not sitting at his desk all day. We can do that as well. Yoga is magic for doing that. You can do that in your living room. And then the final piece of the puzzle is your mental health, staying mentally healthy. And for me, that's about controlling focus. What are you paying attention to? Are you paying attention to your family? Are you reading the great books of the masters? Are you watching the documentaries? Are you taking the online course? Or are you mindlessly consuming social media and making yourself mentally unhealthy? So those 4 pillars, sleep, eat, move, and think, are where I think we can really help a lot of people take control of their lifestyle and actually get healthier at the same time.